Hello and welcome to my channel. This video is a part of NISM Mutual Funds tutorial. Here we will be covering chapter number 3, that is legal structure of mutual fund. I've already uploaded chapter 1 and 2 of this playlist. You can find the link to those videos in the description box at the end of this video as well as on the I button. So do check out the previously uploaded videos, you'll get a better understanding. And for this whole playlist, there will be total of 12 chapters that would be uploaded in 12 videos. So you can keep a track of all these and you would be able to clear your exam with good percentage and very easily with deep understanding. So I'll request you to subscribe to my channel and do hit the like button if you like the video. Now let's start with this. Okay, so as I mentioned that the whole chapter, which is chapter number 3, is about the legal structure of mutual funds. So here we will try to understand what is the whole organizational structure in which the mutual fund works. Okay, so this particular slide will make you understand the whole of the chapter very easily. So that's why I have kept this structure in the first slide so that you can get a better understanding and you can get a brief idea about the whole chapter. Later on, we will be discussing all this with major points that could be asked in your exam, but this is basically to build a major proportion of your understanding. Okay, so first of all, there is a mutual fund, alright? So we are studying about mutual fund which is established in the form of trust. I've already mentioned this in my previous videos as well, that mutual fund is established in form of trust under Indian Trust Act. Alright, and what happens is that there is a key component called sponsor. Sponsors are those people who have invested their capital in mutual fund business. Again, I am repeating, sponsors are those people who have invested the initial capital in the mutual fund business and they are the one who have applied for the registration of the mutual fund. So sponsors play a major role and they are kept at the top. Sponsors are also known as promoters of the mutual fund business. Now below that you can see trustees. Trustees may be individual person, it may be group of persons, board of directors, a whole company or a bank which is appointed in the form of trustee by the sponsor. So as I already mentioned that mutual fund is established in the form of trust and every trust should have trustees. So trustees over here will be having the major role to hold the property of the trust for the benefit of the investors. So the trustee must look out that whatever the properties are held in the trust, whatever the assets are there, that is working for the benefit of the investors. That would be the unit holders that would be investing in the mutual fund business. So trustees have to ensure that the compliances are being followed. These are the legal compliances which may be in tune with the regulations by SEBI. So trustee has to look out that the legal compliances are being followed and the whole mutual fund business is working for the benefit of the investors. So first of all, there was sponsor who have invested capital and is known as promoter. Then there are trustees whose major role is to look after the benefit of the investors and they are appointed by the sponsor. Now, the third major component is asset management company, which is also in short referred as AMC. Now, this AMC is non-banking financial company that handles the day-to-day operations of mutual fund. Okay, so asset management company is actually that company from where the operational work of the mutual fund is going on. So that is in short about asset management company. We would be learning about all these in details in the upcoming slide, but here a brief about all these. Okay, now you can see that there are different functions. As I already mentioned, trustee is looking after compliance function, but asset management company is looking after various roles like fund management, operations and customer service, sales and marketing, other functions. So all these areas, since that is being operated by AMC, all these are controlled by asset management company. So generally you are asked this type of question like what is the role of sponsor, what is the role of trustee. You will be given the options and you have to choose the correct one. That's why I am repeating so that it will be clear in your mind. Now, when we talk about compliance functions, so there are compliance officers who work closely with these trustees and AMC, and the compliance officers ensures that the legal compliances and the whole due diligence work related to KYC, document verification, the assets holding, everything is maintained in a proper manner with all the regularities. So there are compliance officers appointed. When we talk about fund management, so we can see that it is divided into three parts again, that is analyst, fund manager and dealers. The basic work is what fund managers, analysts and dealers, all these together decides that where the investment of the money by the investor should be done. So when we as an investors are investing in particular mutual fund scheme, we are just having an objective. Our objective is to add return percent to our money that we have invested. It could be capital appreciation, it could be tax saving, it could be long-term growth. That is objectives of the investors. Now these fund managers, analysts and the dealers together, they work to provide a good return percent to the investors. They make ensure that whatever is the objective of the mutual fund scheme, that is fulfilled within the given time frame. Okay, so that's basically these are the people who are basically managing the money of the investors employed in the business. Now then there is operations and customer service team. That is the when you go into the branch, when you go into the company, and the face-to-face which people you are meeting would be the customer service team. And then there is operations team regarding registrar and transfer agency. There is custody, there is fund accounting team, cash management team. So we would be reading about all these, learning about all these in details in the upcoming slide. But for a brief, I can tell you that RTA over here, the main function of RTA is to maintain investors' record. They try to maintain all the records of the investors in terms of the transactions, in terms of the deals in purchase and redeeming of mutual funds. Then they are one who issues account statement to the investors. Then there is custodian, who all the assets that is all the assets that is held with the custodian. So this is another. Then there is fund accounting team, which is looking out for the accounting purpose. There is cash management team. Here comes the distribution team. All right, it comes under sales and marketing. So when you are giving this exam, that is NISM Mutual Fund Distributors exam, so you would be working under the distribution team. If you want to distribute, if you want to sell the mutual fund schemes, what happens once you clear this exam, you have to apply for the ARN number, that is AMFI registration number, which you get by Association of Mutual Funds of India. And after that, you would be totally legally authorized to sell the mutual fund schemes, and you will be working as mutual fund distributors. So distribution, the whole distribution work comes under sales and marketing. Then there are other functions involved, as in any other company. There is finance department, HR department, technology department. So the same goes on. Now, the key components which you should remember in this whole chapter is sponsor, trustee, asset management company, then this custodian, registrar and transfer agency. So these are the key components that you should remember as per the exam purpose. These would be in focus. Okay, so now let's read in detail about this. So mutual fund is established as a trust under Indian Trust Act 1882, as I already mentioned. Investors/unit holders are considered as beneficiaries of mutual funds. So any mutual fund, since mutual fund is established in form of trust, and we know that any trust work for the benefit of the people. So here in case of mutual fund, the beneficiaries are the investors. These are the investors or unit holders, you can also say, in terms of mutual fund, because what you get is the units of a particular scheme. So you are also referred as unit holders. So investors and unit holders are considered as beneficiaries. The schemes under mutual fund invest in financial assets like equity, debt, money market, gold, bond, real estate, etc. So mutual fund, they provide with various schemes like equity schemes, debt scheme, hybrid scheme. We have read about many schemes under mutual fund in our chapter number 2. And we see that what the main function is that mutual funds are having various schemes that invest in various financial asset classes. So equity schemes will be investing the major proportion in equity instruments, which are the shares of the companies. Debt schemes will be investing major proportion in debt instruments. Money market schemes are there, which are investing major proportion in money market instruments like commercial paper, certificate of deposits, then T-bills, etc. Then there will be gold, bond, real estate mutual fund investing in real estate and properties involved. So these are various schemes which are investing in various financial asset classes. Separate asset management company, that is AMC, is set up to run mutual fund business. I already told this in first slide that there is asset management company, which is non-banking financial company, which handles the day-to-day operation of the mutual fund business. So here you can see this line, day-to-day management of the scheme is handled by an AMC. The AMC is appointed by the sponsor or the trustees. So we see that the AMC is appointed by sponsor or the trustees. You need to note this line. It may be asked as one of your objective questions. So just keep this in mind that AMC, Asset Management Company, that is appointed by the sponsor or the trustees. The mutual fund trust is created by sponsors who are the main persons in investing capital in the mutual fund business. As I already mentioned that the sponsors are also referred as promoters. They are initially the persons who are investing capital in the whole mutual fund business, and we will be learning in detail about the sponsors as well. The operations of the mutual fund trust are governed by a trust deed. So there is an agreement formed in form of trust deed. This is a whole paper related work, and this agreement is between sponsors and the trustees, that is executed regarding the operations of the mutual fund business, how it would work, what would be the compliances, what would be the responsibilities and all. The trust acts through its trustees. Therefore, the role of protecting the interest of the investor is that of trustee. So I already mentioned that the trustees, what they do, their main function is to look out that whatever assets are there in the mutual fund business, whatever the property is held in the mutual fund business, that is working for the benefit of the investors and not for any personal gain. Custody of the asset of the scheme lies with the custodian, who is appointed by the trustees. So custodian is appointed by the trustees, and the main work is to keep the custody of the assets involved. So various schemes, they invest in various asset classes like equity, debt, we read all that, gold instruments, money market instruments, etc. So custody of all those assets lies with the custodian. The record of investors and their unit holding may be maintained by the AMC itself. So it may be maintained internally by the AMC, that is Asset Management Company, and if they don't want, they can even appoint a registrar and transfer agent, that is referred as RTA. Their main function would be to keep the record of the investors and their unit holding. So it may be related to whatever purchases the investors have made, the redemption of the scheme, the switching of the scheme. So all these details would be mentioned, their account statements and all. Now let's keep this in mind. The key constituents or the key components related to mutual fund are sponsors, one who invests capital in the business, trustees, one who work for the benefit of the investors, asset management company, one that looks after the operational day-to-day business, custodian, custodian which keeps the custody of the asset. Then there is registrar and transfer agency that keeps the record of the investors in terms of the purchase, sale, switching of the schemes. So these are the key components. Just keep this in mind. Most of the questions involved in chapter number 3 will be related to all these components. Fund. So the first one is sponsors. The application to SEBI for registration of mutual fund is made by the sponsors. So initially, one who applies for the registration of the mutual fund to the SEBI, that is the regulatory authority of the whole capital market. It is referred as Securities and Exchange Board of India. So the application for registration to SEBI, that is also made by sponsors. And these sponsors, as we already learned, that they are the one who invest in the capital of the AMC, that is asset management company. Now, there are certain eligibility criteria, like everyone cannot be the sponsor of the mutual fund business. There are certain criteria that are set by the SEBI that need to be fulfilled. Now, one who is sponsor should be carrying on business and financial services. So, they should have their own business and financial services for not less than 5 years. And even out of that 5 years, for at least 3 years, there should have been profit in the business. So when we count that for preceding 5 years, at least for 3 out of 5 years, there should have been profit in the business. Then they could be sponsor for the mutual fund registration. Also, the sponsor needs to contribute a minimum of 40%. So just keep these quantitative values in your mind so that you can pick up the right answer in the objective form of questions. The sponsor need to contribute a minimum of 40% of the net worth. Net worth is after you deduct all the liabilities from the assets of the business. Now, it can also be called as the initial share capital that is invested in the business. So, net worth, if that is, for example, 100 crore, the 40%, that is 40 crores, should be contributed by the sponsor to the AMC. Sponsor should have positive net worth in all immediately preceding 5 years. So again, we read that sponsor should have their own business, should have carried their own business in financial services. Now, their business should have positive net worth in immediately preceding 5 years. So for this year, if it is 2021, for immediately preceding 5 years will be 2015 to 2020, and there should have been positive net worth. This net worth is reflected in the balance sheet of the company, and the profit is reflected in the income statement of the company that is presented as financial statements yearly. So that's where we see that the sponsor should fulfill these criteria. Sponsor have to contribute a minimum of 50 lakh or 1% of the corpus raised in the NFO. So NFO is initially when the mutual fund scheme is offered in the market to the investors, that is referred as new fund offer, and the money is raised from the investors. So at least 50 lakh rupees or 1% of the corpus that is raised from the NFO, whichever is lower, should be contributed by the sponsors. So you can get an idea over here that the sponsors are the one who is investing a lot of capital in the whole mutual fund business, and they are the one who would be who is liable for the capital contribution in the business of the mutual fund. So they are flooding this money in the AMC that is looking after the operations of the this whole mutual fund. The second important component is Board of Trustees. Now, the trustees have a critical role in ensuring that the mutual fund complies with the regulation. Okay, so we saw that the trustees ensure that the legal compliances are followed, the interest of the investors is being met. So the trustees are the one who is having this major function. These trustees should be minimum of 4 people. Okay, with prior approval of SEBI, trustees need to be appointed by the sponsor, and they should be minimum of 4 people, which can be individual persons appointed as trustee. It can also be a company, but in that case, what happens that the companies usually have board of directors, so there should be at least 4 board of directors. The person appointed as trustee must be of integrity, ability, free from any economic offense or security law violation. So any person or company that is being appointed as trustee of mutual fund business, they should have high integrity. They should not have been involved in any kind of scam, any kind of fraud, any violation of securities law, or any actions being taken on them by SEBI. So they should have a proper integrity. After that only they can be appointed as trustee. Also, the main thing we have to see over here is trustee works as an independent body. So they should not be involved to the whole mutual fund business in any manner. So it cannot be AMC, it cannot be director, officer or employee who is working in AMC. they cannot be eligible to be appointed as trustee. Trustee should be an independent person, an independent company, which is not having any personal gain from this particular mutual fund business. No person who is appointed as trustee of one mutual fund okay, so this also you need to keep in mind that the one who is appointed trustee for one particular mutual fund, they cannot be trustee for any other AMC. So for one AMC, if they are appointed as trustee, they cannot be the trustee for any other AMC as well. Okay, so these are certain eligibility criteria which you should keep in mind, like who can be trustees of the mutual fund business, who can be sponsors of the mutual fund business. Now here comes the responsibilities of trustees. So you just go through the slide. It is a very normal one. The trustees defines the functioning of AMC. They are the one who ensures that the appointment of the all key personnel is done. So it can be officers, the employees. They ensures that everyone is there in the place, fund managers, analysts and all. They ensures compliance with SEBI regulations. We already learned about that. They try to protect the interest of the investors, works in the form of best investors need. They file details of securities dealing on quarterly basis. They have to review periodically the complaints, the transactions. These are certain responsibilities that trustees have to do. They must take corrective action and inform SEBI in case of any violation. They ensure that the trust property is properly protected, held and administered. The trustee shall file half-yearly reports to SEBI. So these are certain responsibilities of trustees. You can look after these all. This this won't form an important part of your MCQ type of questions, but yeah, to get an idea like what exactly is responsibilities of trustees, you can go through it once. Asset management company, we read that they are the one who is looking after the day-to-day operations of the mutual fund business. This AMC is appointed by sponsors of trustee, and that along with approval of SEBI, that is the regulatory authority looking after all the approvals and the legal compliances. The AMC need to have a minimum net worth of 50 crores. So again, here also there are eligibility criteria mentioned, that one who is going to be AMC for the mutual fund business, they need to have a minimum net worth of 50 crores. The appointment of an AMC can be terminated. It can also be cancelled. It can also be terminated, but that would be with majority of the trustees in favor of that termination. In case the AMC is not working properly, they are violating rules and regulations, action could be taken in terms of termination, and that would be by majority decision of the trustee. It can also be by majority decision, that is about 75% of the unit holders / investors with approval of SEBI. The director of AMC needs to be person having adequate professional experience in field of financial services. So we have seen that anyone who is involved in this business, they need to have some sort of experience in financial services business. They need to be person who has not been involved in any kind of economic offense, moral offense, violation of securities law. So these are certain things that is being fit in all key components of the mutual fund business. At least 50% of the directors should be independent directors, not associated with sponsor or the trustees. Now let's come to custodian. So custodian, it has custody of the asset of the fund. It settles all transactions on behalf of the mutual fund scheme. So whatever we are investing as investors in certain mutual fund schemes, and then the mutual fund schemes are investing in various financial asset classes, the custody of those assets are held by the custodian. Custodian accepts and gives delivery of securities for the purchase and sale transaction of the various schemes of fund. So what happens when an investor is purchasing any scheme, they are investing their money in particular scheme, they are being allotted certain units, and when they are selling, their units are being sold. So this delivery of securities, this acceptance and transactions happening, this is all done by the custodian. All custodian need to register. Okay, so they are registered with SEBI under the SEBI Custodian Regulations 1996. And you also need to keep this in mind that the custodian is appointed by the trustees. The custodian also tracks corporate actions such as dividend, bonus, and rights in companies where the fund has invested. Now let's come to RTA and depository. The registrar and transfer agency, which is a big part of operations and customer service unit, maintain investor record as well as allot or redeem units. In simpler manner, whatever is the record of the investors, we as an investors, when we are investing, our transaction record is maintained by the registrar and transfer agency, and this particular function can also be done by the AMC. But if they want, they can appoint this RTA externally to look after the transactions, to look after the maintenance of the records. Now, this records could be in terms of the allotments, in terms of redemption of unit, processing of unit, purchase, switch request, dividends, etc. So, all those transaction record would be maintained by the RTA. Also, the generation of account statement that is provided to the investor on the monthly basis. As an investor, when you are invested in a mutual fund scheme, you would be provided with your account statement, which would be giving you the whole idea about the price of the mutual fund, the value, the cost that you have incurred in that. So it would be provided to you in form of account statement in your registered mail ID that is generated by the RTA. Then there is depository. A depository is an institution which holds the securities in demat form, that is dematerialized or electronic form, on behalf of the investors. This is not forming a major part of mutual fund business, but this is majorly involved when you are trading in shares in the stock market directly. You need to have a demat account, and what happens that whatever shares you are holding in demat or electronic form, that is maintained by the depositories. And there are two depositories in our country, that is NSDL and CDSL, National Securities Depository Limited and Central Depository Services Limited. So this is majorly for share market transactions and not particularly for applicable for all mutual fund transactions. So when you are trading in share market, there are some close-ended fund involved in mutual funds. So what happens, those close-ended funds get listed in the stock market, which also allows you to make transactions over there. So in that case, you need to know about the depository, that whatever shares you will be holding, that is maintained in electronic format with these two depositories. Now let's quickly go through the Association of Mutual Funds in India. So what are the functioning and what is AMFI exactly? So AMFI is, as the name suggests over here, it is Association of the whole mutual funds industry in India, and it is not a regulatory organization, we can say, but it works in favor of the industry of mutual fund. So what they do, they define and maintain high professional and ethical standards in the operations of mutual fund industry. They recommend and promote best business practices and code of conduct to be followed. They are the representative to the government, SEBI and RBI on any legal matter concerned, any regulatory concerns related to the mutual fund industry. They also undertake nationwide investor awareness program, and they regulate the conduct of distributors, including disciplinary action. So if any distributor is found guilty for any violation of code of conduct, they can take regulatory actions against them in terms of cancellation of ARN. So we know that this ARN is AMFI registration number that is provided to the distributors of the mutual funds. AMFI is neither a regulatory body nor a self-regulatory organization. So this is what you need to note over here. It is not a regulatory body, but it is Association of the Mutual Funds, which is working for the betterment of this industry, which is working for the investors' awareness, which is working for the best business practices in this particular area. Okay, so now there is MCQ time. So quickly go through the question and try to answer it. First one is, mutual funds are constituted as trust in India. Who are the beneficiaries of the trust? A. Employees, B. Distributors, C. Unit holders, D. Trustees. Correct option is C. Unit holders. Who handles the day-to-day management of the mutual fund? A. Asset management company. B. Registrar and transfer agency. C. Mutual fund trustees. D. Unit holders. The correct option is A. Asset management company, whose job is to track the various corporate actions like bonus, dividend, right issue in company where the mutual fund scheme has invested. A. Registrar and transfer agency. B. Custodian. C. Auditors. D. Unit holders. The correct option is B. Custodian. Registrar and transfer agency function must be independent of the AMC and it cannot be retained in-house. State whether this statement is true or false. A. True. B. False. The correct option is B. False. With which agency are the mutual fund distributors registered? A. SEBI. B. Fund accounting team. C. Depositories. D. AMFI. Correct option is D. AMFI. AMFI is neither a regulatory body nor a self-regulatory organization. State whether it is true or false. So the correct option is A. True. What is the minimum percent of net worth of the AMC to be contributed by sponsors? A. 40%, B. 60%, C. 45%, D. 65%. The correct option is A. 40%. Who among the following ensures compliance with SEBI regulations and defines functioning of the AMC? A. Sponsor. B. Custodian. C. Trustee. D. Depository. Correct option is C. Trustees. So this was all for this video. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel so that you can get notifications of all the upcoming videos, and do hit the like button and share with more people to make the channel grow, to help and to appreciate my efforts. Thank you.